It's 6:05. We may as well begin. Thank you very much for being here. Profit Map Academy has been a journey for me that's taken me from being a very frustrated, unsuccessful, hardworking man to being much more relaxed about things and being much more successful. I do less work and get more for what I put in. So I'm hoping to be able to explain some of the reasons why that happened to me and where the Profit Map Academy product came from, because it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. So I'm hoping to be able to explain that to you today. We've established that you can hear me. That's great. If at any stage something happens with the technology, please, by all means, put something into the chat. I'm doing this alone today. I know with webinars, people say you're supposed to do it with a partner. My partner's downstairs looking after my daughter, and I don't think you want her up here, otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear me. So I've got my iPad with the chat next to me, and I'm sure I'll be able to manage both things at once. So if there are problems as we go along, if you could let me know in the chat box, and I'll be able to hopefully solve any problems we've got. By the end of the session today, I hope that you'll leave with a much better understanding of how to use your time to progress your dreams in 2016. Because what I'm hoping to share with you today is perhaps the most important thing to any online business startup, and I certainly believe that in my own experience. And based on the fact that I delayed the webinar a week, and thank you for bearing with me there. At the end of the webinar today, I want to offer you 2 exclusive pieces of software. These are pieces of software that I haven't made myself. Software as a business I may go into in the future. It's certainly profitable in that sense. These are 2 of the best bits of software that I've been using in the past 12 months. I've managed to get licenses so that I can share them with people who are buyers of mine, customers of mine. And at the end of the webinar, I'd like to let you know what they are and how you can get your hands on them. But when I thought about what I should share with you, I thought if I've got one chance to share something with people who have bought the Profit Map Academy and shown me trust by doing so, what's the one thing that I could give them that would be more valuable than anything else? And I think time is our most precious resource. It's the thing that challenged me most when I was struggling to try and find a way out of the maze of internet marketing and online business. So I'm hoping to be able to give you some time hacks today and to explain some misconceptions about time that I've discovered that helped me make progress in my journey. But first of all, I'd like to ask you a question. Do you ever feel like there aren't enough hours in your own day? Do you ever feel like you're working hard, but honestly feel like you're getting nowhere? Perhaps in your everyday life, perhaps in your business too. And I'm also wondering if, like me in a previous life, does the ambition you've got to succeed online sometimes honestly feel like it's an impossible dream, given that you've got to learn so much, you've got to establish a business, you've perhaps got to keep income coming into your household at the same time, you may have families. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are and how you feel about this challenge you've got, and what you think about time. Is time as precious to you as it is to me? Is it one of those things that you find quite difficult to deal with? Yeah, I can see that my views are shared, and I think I'm glad, first of all, because I think that mastering time and having an understanding of how to get the most of your time is one of the most difficult things in our lives, because time is something we can't multiply more of nearly as easily as anything else. If you want more money, you can borrow it. You can multiply the money you've got. You've got ways and means to do that. Time is much more difficult, and I'm hoping to be able to give you a few ideas today. But I've got some good news for you, because this problem is actually a lot easier to solve than you think. And the truth is that often we approach this in the wrong way. And today I want to explain why that is and what you can do to change things for yourself. And I want to do that by sharing my own story for a few moments, because like most people, I've got a busy life, and time has been my biggest challenge in developing my business alongside a job and alongside my family life. I've worked all my life, first as a salesperson, then a teacher, then a technology trainer, an e-learning developer, and now as an online marketer and educator. And I've always worked hard. As a salesperson, I was always the first into the office and the last to leave. And as a teacher, I regularly worked 60-plus-hour weeks, probably every waking moment, actually, to run projects, clubs, websites alongside the job I did for my students in school. And I think that's my default way of dealing with a difficult situation, is to work hard and push through it. A wonderful complication that we've now got in our lives here, and making my life much more busy, is the birth of Josie Joe, my lovely daughter, who was born 16 months ago. And building up to her birth, and particularly when I was leaving for work during my partner's maternity leave, I realized how wrong it felt to be going somewhere else for 12 hours each and every day, when the focus of my life and my reason for living was at home. And actually, when I think about it, this feeling has been creeping up on me for several years. And I've been taking action to try and change it. I know lots of people who are on this journey too, and I imagine that some of you are on this journey too. Like many people, I aspired to have a free life where I could manage the responsibility of bringing in an income around my family rather than the other way around. I mean, it seems stupid to me. Isn't the world the wrong way round in this respect? As the dominant predators on the planet, free to create any lifestyle we want for ourselves on planet Earth, you'd honestly have thought that we'd be able to do a little better than feeling like this, wouldn't you? I found this quote a few years ago. It's from a guy I really haven't found out that much about him, and despite his profanity here, I like what he's saying. How in the hell could a man enjoy being awakened at 8:30 a.m. or earlier by an alarm clock, leap out of bed, dress, force feed, go to the toilet, brush hair and teeth, and fight traffic to get to a place where essentially you make lots of money for someone else and were asked to be grateful for the opportunity to do so? That's how I felt. And I felt like I had to find a way out of this. And I'm part way through the journey to my own freedom. And by the time my daughter remembers her life, her daddy will be working from home full time. This will actually happen in the next 18 months. And it's only possible because I've taken control of the time I have. Because it really wasn't always like this. For more than 2 years, I struggled quite badly. I tried everything I was sent. I was the classic shiny object addict. And I worked so hard and got precisely nowhere. It really was an exercise in massive frustration. And I do know how it feels to be doing this, to be feeling like this, to be getting up early, going to bed late, trying to pursue your dreams and seeing very little progress in return. And I know how it feels to want something so badly and to be working so hard to achieve it and to feel like you're going backwards each week. It's this feeling that tests us. It tests our resolve and determination. And when we feel this, typically we work harder to try and break through it. And that was certainly my strategy. So what were some of the time and productivity hacks that I discovered that helped me most? I've got 5 of them to share with you today. The first one is to do with your creativity, because it's my belief that you are the best tool your business has to progress and improve in 2016. You're investing in your own growth by being here and by buying products like Profit Map Academy. And time hack number 1 is to make the best use of the thoughts your brain has and the solutions it gives you. Because inspiration can strike us at any time. And in fact, it really often does when we're busy doing something else. A lot of the time, our brains pop up ideas into our heads. And honestly, in our busy lives, it can be difficult to keep track of the solutions and ideas which our brains deliver to us. But there are ways to do this that will not only save you time, but will train your unconscious to respond to the problems you really want to solve. This starts with taking notes and writing the things that you plan to do down, the customers you plan to help, the problems you have, the solutions you'll deliver. In fact, everything, every good idea and plan you have. And I'm sure that that's one of the solutions you've already identified to try and plan your way out of the situation you're in and achieve your dreams. Now, I used to do this because I thought I didn't want to forget these details. And I was correct, because if you write things down, you're more likely to remember them in the future when you need to. But something else started happening when I did this too. I started getting more moments where my brain would suddenly pop solutions into my head to the problems I was writing about. Your unconscious mind is a really wonderful tool, but it needs to be directed to be truly useful. Honestly, by making notes and structuring my thoughts, I realized quickly that my unconscious then focused itself on these problems rather than thinking of a whole lot of other random stuff, and I became much more productive as a result. The best way I've found to do this is using mind maps. And I use a solution called Poplet on my iPad and online to do this. It's free for a few mind maps. I think they give you 5, but they're huge. And honestly, I've been using it for about 5 years, 7 years. I've never needed to pay them for anything more than the iPad app, which I think cost $2. And the massive advantage of electronic mind maps is the connection between ideas that you have. Now, doing this electronically allows you to play with your ideas and then refine them over time. And this is a really powerful concept. Your notes and mind maps become a place where your ideas grow and become more fully formed as you develop your business and you learn new things. Honestly, without this, I would be much, much less effective. And I would take much more time to solve some of the problems I've overcome in the past few years. I'd like to show you Poplet because I think it's just wonderful. Excuse my screen. There we go. I've looked into Poplet here, and you can see some of the popples, the mind maps I've created already. We're going to side this one. It's a little busy, but you can see what I mean. I like electronic mind maps because it's easy to move things around, and your mind map grows the more you think about it. This is a mind map for a course that I was planning. And in fact, this mind map took me, I don't know, maybe a month and a half to put together. I haven't released the course yet, but when I do, I know exactly how I'm going to do it. And the nice thing about electronic mind maps is that you can move things around, you can add extra ideas, you can connect things up, you can decide that things don't connect together particularly well in that form, and they need to be somewhere different. You can edit what you've got. Here we go. I'll get rid of those. You can edit what you've got. And honestly, I think this as a mind mapping tool is just wonderful. I used to do mind maps on paper when I was very young, and I was taught to do these, and they're wonderful, except when you've come back to it 3 or 4 times, it just looks like a mess. Electronic mind maps allow you to be able to add extra things in really easily and to be able to change your mind map completely in a few minutes. When you come back to it, maybe after a while of learning something new or developing your ideas to such an extent, you come back and you can change that mind map and make it more useful. I really would start using a service maybe like Poplet. There are a load of other free mind mapping solutions online as well. The iPad app, I think, cost me $2. And I love it because it's portable. It works really well. And you can share the mind maps between the mobile device and online. I think you can share up to 5 of them. If you want to, you can always share this with other people in the world as well. You can have other people contributing to your mind maps. My business is at that stage. However, that's not why I'm showing it to you. I think honestly, this is a really good solution for being able to grow your ideas over time. And I wouldn't underestimate it as a tool in terms of planning something, in terms of letting your ideas evolve. Time hack number 2 is my solution to the biggest problem I had when I was trying to organize myself every day. I realized that to be truly effective, I needed to write lists so I wouldn't forget things. And I've been good at doing this over several jobs. It means that I can be more productive when I got small moments to use to progress my business. But the problem I found with this was twofold at least. One of the main problems that I had was using paper notes, and I still do use paper notes. They're easy to scribble down on. They're the original portable solution, and it's a really good way to write yourself a list for the day. But in a complex thing like an online business, or when you're trying to learn a whole load of new things and start lots of projects, or even if you're just starting one project that then sort of morphs into a few things you've got to learn, making lists for each mini project you're doing to manage your progress can become a bit of a nightmare. Honestly, in previous jobs, before digital notes were really possible, I would be covered in paper. I would be copying new notes up from old notes. It really was a time sink. After a while, I had pieces of paper everywhere. And as a result, organizing myself quickly became a massive time sink. I tried winging it without notes, but realized quickly that by doing this, I forgot things and I didn't use my time well. So like many people, I started using digital notes on my computer and on my iPad. And I found this helped a lot because I could copy and paste things. And those old notes, once things were completed, could easily be changed into new notes. And it's a really good thing. You don't need to be copying up new, neat notes all the time because time is the most precious thing you have. Organization is wonderful, but if it takes up precious time, that's a waste of your time. These digital lists soon got out of control too, though, and I found myself losing digital files because where I can sit with 4 pieces of paper in front of me and scan between them, doing that on a computer with 4 different documents really is a bit of a nightmare. Also, I'd save things with funny names, I'd save things in different places, and losing those digital files and trying to find them again became a bit of a nightmare. Then I discovered an online app, again this is free, called Trello. If anyone's not seen this before, this is a free online management tool and it's used for managing large projects. And it's got loads of functions I really don't use, but it does one thing really well that solved my list problem. It allowed me to create multiple lists and move things between them really easily. I'd love to show you Trello because I think this is a really good solution for many people. This is Trello, and this is the inside of my account, and you can see that I can create boards, which is a screen full of lists. I've created 2 lists to show you. Let's have a look. Yeah, let's have a look at this one first. And you can see that I can create a list very easily indeed. Let's create one for urgent. Oops. And you can add things into this extremely easily. I can't type extremely well, but there you go. Adding things in there is really, really easy. Moving things around is as easy as dragging and dropping things. And this works on mobile devices just as well as it does, in fact, better than it does on the computer with a keyboard and a mouse. The other thing I really liked about this as a list solution was the fact that I could organize things in priority order. So I might be thinking, well, today I know that those are the tasks I've got to do. I won't do that one until tomorrow. Let's say that says tomorrow. I won't do that one until next week. This is my list for today, and that's the order I want to do things in. I found that much quicker than using any kind of digital notes that I've ever come across. The other thing I liked about this, if we look at the other one, is that I could look at several projects at the same time. And you can see just here I've got a checklist. I'll turn one of the other ones into a checklist and show you what I mean. So this is an item that I've just scribbled down. And maybe this is an item that has several different steps. Well, you can, okay, let's call it anything. Here we go. See, that has been changed into a checklist, and it's really easy to tick these things off. Now, these things could be steps in a process. It could be that you realize you've got to learn something new. You add a card in, and then you think, well, what's the step? How have I got to do this? So I've got to do these things. Fantastic. A really easy and quick way to be able to manage lists. The reason that, okay, the functions I don't use, you can share these, you can add members to your board. And actually, I'm doing this with some people I'm working in the States and people I'm working with in Portugal and Spain. My business has got to the stage where I'm collaborating with other people to try and get economies of scale working and to work with people who've got complementary skills. And adding members, adding people to these boards is really easy, and you can see the changes that they make live. However, even before I was at the stage my business is now, it was really useful to be able to use this as a list solution I discovered it and started using it for a list solution, and met someone recently who uses it for complex project management. And he said, you know, Trello? I said, yeah, I use it for lists. And he didn't realize quite how powerful it was in that context. I love this bit of software, and it's free. There are no limits on the amount of boards that you can create, and it can grow with your business. So as far as lists are concerned, I use Trello more often than I use anything else now, and I'm really glad that I found it. Now, these two time hacks and me organizing myself saved a lot of time, and they did help me make progress. And there are loads of other things that you might use in terms of technology or different habits or routines to be able to make progress and to be able to spend your time more productively. But honestly, I was still missing something really important that I couldn't make any progress without. Because for many people, myself included, working harder just wasn't an option. I was misunderstanding what the problem actually is, because time appears to be our biggest enemy, but it's not. Because we're actually working on the wrong things. At least I was working on the wrong things. By simply working harder, I was just digging myself a deeper hole and getting even more tired and getting ever closer to giving up. Maybe you felt like this on your own journey. This is definitely how I used to feel, and it was exhausting. So what changed? At what point did I start making progress, and how did this change occur? Well, that change for me happened when I realized that working harder wasn't the solution I was looking for, and that the real solution wasn't trying to hack more work into the time I had, even though I managed to save quite a bit of time through using technology in the ways that I've described. I want to explain why I feel this just a little. Often in our lives, we have problems and we look to find solutions. And human beings are great problem-solving creatures. We look at the problem we have and we use what we see to find a solution to solve it. We've been doing this for millions of years. But the problem with this approach is that all too often we tend to sticking plaster or band-aid the individual symptoms rather than solving the core problem. This happens because individual symptoms are much easier to fix. We might drink coffee rather than getting more sleep. We might take painkillers rather than removing the cause of the actual headache. So when I was looking at my own situation and thinking I don't have enough time, I tried to solve this by going to bed later and getting up earlier and allocating times in my working day where I'd take myself off and do my own work. I increased the time I had available to solve the problem. Two problems with this. The first is it didn't work. And the second is it's not sustainable. In our lives, we're already hellishly busy. Any tweaks we can make to our time are great, but it did help me get more done, but I still got nowhere. And I was getting really tired. I made myself quite ill in the process. I was picking up every single bug going around because I was sleeping about 4 hours a night. The key and the biggest time hack that I can give you is to realize that the root cause of this problem often isn't the time you have, but what you're choosing to do with that time. I want to give you one example. If you've read the Profit Map Academy report, this might be familiar with you. But for me and for many people, reacting to what we get sent by email or the sales pages we read is part of the problem in terms of time. I had no long-term direction to commit to for a long time, so I guess it was no wonder I wasn't making the progress I wanted to. I was wondering if you've thought about how much time email and social media, messaging people and answering the messages you send on all sorts of different platforms now takes out of your day. I tried to estimate this a little while ago, and different days are different. I might spend more time on it at the weekends, and days when I'm not so busy at work, I might jump on. But I spent an awful lot of time reacting to things. And when I realized that, it opened my eyes a bit. I estimated at one stage that I might be spending 10 minutes checking my email 5 times a day. And I think I probably just picked those numbers out of the air. It doesn't seem, looking back, it doesn't seem like a long time. I think some days I was spending a lot more time than that. That's almost 6 hours a week. And over a year, that's 25 12-hour days. Now, that's a significant amount of time to be spending on reacting to things that are happening. And actually this gets even worse than this, because and I was checking my phone and my email every time it beeped and investigating what people sent me. By reacting to what I got sent and taking myself away from my productive time, it wasted so much more than that. My productive time is very precious, and I'm sure yours is too. The time I actually get to sit and learn something in quiet and undisturbed is golden. The problem with being disturbed, and either disturbed by other people or disturbed by some of these things that we get sent, is that it breaks our concentration. We might then go back to the task, and it'll take us five minutes, even 15 minutes, depending on how difficult the task was, to really catch up with where we were up to before. And that can waste an awful lot more than just the time it takes to read the message, and let alone if you buy a product and then start using it. Another rather frightening question I was asking myself as I was making no progress is, how many reports, systems, or hacks had I tried? I'm not sure actually if I wanted to look at JVZoo and ClickBank and try and work out just how many things I'd tried. I'd encourage you to do this. It's a little frightening, but part of the process I'm going through and I'm going to explain to you is to be able to be real, to look back and have a look. And honestly, as I looked at JVZoo a few years ago, I looked at this and I thought, blimey, I remember the name of all these products. I could remember some of the sales pages. I could remember how people were selling them to me. The difficulty I had was then looking down the list and thinking, what am I actually still using? Oh my God, I'm still using 2 out of 30 or 40 different things that I bought. I then took the rather frightening step of adding up how much those other things cost me, and I think I got quite depressed after that. But asking yourselves these questions, if you're going to make progress in the future, is a good way to help you realize how much time you've sunk into things that perhaps didn't matter. And I think it was at this point, and the point I was about to give up, that I thought, hang on a minute, no wonder I'm not making any progress here. I'm not using my time nearly well enough. Being busy isn't enough. Working harder at doing this, reacting to things, isn't enough. It's not working for me. I need to try something else. And at that stage, and I think it was a weekend about 2 years ago, I sat back and thought, rather than try the latest hack report, rather than make another niche website, rather than sending out a load more emails that I'm not sure about, I'm going to take a step back from this and really think about this. And for what turned out to be a weekend, I looked at my situation, I looked at my skills, I looked at my experience, I looked at my finances, I looked at how much I'd spent, I looked at how much I'd earned, not very much at all. And I decided what I really wanted above all else. And I decided what I really wanted to do to achieve that. And I mapped out a route to getting there. The route's changed over time. And the route does. If you're on a complex journey, learning things as you're going along, don't expect that you'll know exactly how you've got to do things. But writing down what you'll need to learn to get there is a hugely useful process to go through, because then you've created your route. And being clear about where you're going to is actually much more important than people think, because it's only when you get to the bottom of what you really want that you'll be motivated to achieve it, and you'll find it easier to commit yourself over time. You'll find things much easier if everything you do is related to this one thing. And the profit mapping process that I've evolved over time, and that I didn't realize 2 years ago I was creating a system that would help me try and make progress. Actually, 6 months ago, I thought, I need to try and share this with other people because this is working. Now, profit mapping and the Profit Map Academy helps you establish this, what you're really wanting to do. I call it having a personal mission. And for me, all through my 20s, I thought money was going to be my personal mission. I honestly thought that that's what I wanted. That's what I was motivated by. And actually, it turns out that isn't what really motivates me on a difficult day when I don't want to get up, and I didn't want to go to work, and I didn't want to commit myself late at night. You need to be clear about that, and it's a much bigger question than you think. When you do that, you harness the awesome power of no, the most powerful word that you can use to save time, to know what to do. Because with a plan, with a map, with a goal, you cut through the noise of this hack and that system and follow your own path. You can say no to the things you receive, and you smile as you're doing it, because you recognize, hey, this is one of the things that used to trip me up. I'm going to say no to this one and bat it back. It's actually a lot more cleansing than you think. By doing this, you can link your days and weeks of activity together. And through taking regular action and channeling your motivation over time, you make progress. And this is only possible with a long-term goal and a long-term strategy. And please don't underestimate how powerful this is as a concept and as something that will truly change your life. The Profit Map Academy is about organizing your life around your goals, but it's also about evaluating the opportunities available to you and selecting the right one for you. I've often thought why a lot of internet marketing training and lots of training just assumes that everyone's going to come out of that training with exactly the same result. Actually, the business that might suit me would be very different to the business that might suit you, Simon, or you, Mary, or you, Steph, or you, Warren. The profit mapping process takes you through an analysis of your skills, an analysis of your situation, so that you can be basing your business on the things that matter to you. If something looks cool but it doesn't fit you, or it doesn't have commercial potential, then we want to knock it out quickly. Because we've only got so much time available, we want to fail fast. And it's a great expression. I love this quote by Thomas Edison that I'm sure you've now read while I've been prattling on. I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. This is a good message to receive, because honestly, as you learn new things, just be really aware of the fact that your learning cannot progress without mistakes. Mistakes are actually necessary for you to learn and take the next step. I used to teach students at a school where people came from very disadvantaged backgrounds, and a lot of those students didn't make progress because they were afraid to fail. They were afraid to fail in front of people, and they were afraid to make mistakes. And it took a long time to gain enough trust in me to be able to say, look, you need to fail. You have to fail. Without failure, you stay exactly where you are. You don't make any progress at all. And it really helps, and it helped me to realize the importance of seeing what I was doing, not as a hobby, but as an online business, as a business, to try and organize myself and motivate myself in a direction that would produce a consistent income, to think not just about a hack that might make me, oh, I don't know, you've seen all these, haven't you? $100 in a day or something, but something that is a consistent income, so that you're not having to chase the next big thing, but you've got a business model, a strategy that will work over the longer term. You need for a business effectively manages its finances, knows what it's spending, knows what it's earning. And honestly, realizing this made a massive difference to me, as it changed my approach to everything I was doing. And that includes how much time I was spending on some of the things I was doing, because those choices you're making are either sending you in one direction or they're sending you in another. But look, that's Profit Map Academy, and everyone on the call, bar Steph, who's a visitor of mine. Hi, Steph. Everyone on the call has invested in Profit Map Academy, and I'd encourage you to take a step back, to read the report and to go through the workbook and let that guide you through the process that's made the biggest difference for me on my journey so far. It'll help you cut through the noise, and it'll help you have a long-term purpose and use your time so much better. It's not actually a hack at all. It's a system that means you don't need a hack. And don't underestimate how powerful this is. Most people that fail online do so because they lack this simple long-term plan. They lack an understanding of how to create a business over the longer term. But as I've mentioned in a couple of the emails I've sent out to you, all the planning in the world, even the best plan in the world, needs to be implemented for you to reach your goals. And just having that one weekend where things changed for me and my perspective changed wasn't good enough. And when I was writing Profit Map Academy 6 months ago, I realized actually that I had problems that I was overcoming to do with executing my plan, to do with implementing this. And I want to give you the benefit of that experience here too. This time of year, you do New Year's resolutions, and I think I always have, even though at the back of my mind, I think it's a bit of a silly thing because at any stage you can decide to change. I've often made New Year's resolutions which are difficult to actually put into practice. The two that spring to mind is all the years I was smoking. It's at least 8 years behind me now. But the amount of years where I would start the year thinking, I'm going to stop smoking. And I would be honestly, truly, totally convinced that that was going to happen. The difficulty with executing that day to day, minute to minute, broke me into double figures before I actually made the step of realizing how it was possible for me to implement that. And what I've done with Profit Map Academy is create an optional set of video training that looks like this, that has 3 very important messages to it. The first is to identify the 10 biggest barriers that most people face when they start on their journey to implement what they're trying to do. So day to day, week to week, what barriers will you come across? These are based on my own experience, but also the experiences of 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs I've had the benefit of working with recently. And I spent, I think, 2 weeks putting 2 hours of video training together that's listed here, just simply because I realized that actually giving people the organization system that I had to save me time to be able to organize my business wasn't enough. I needed to try and give people a way to implement that as well. And look, not everyone will need this, but I did. And actually, I would have made much quicker progress had I been aware of some of these things that I was going to come across. The other 2 modules that I'm actually really proud of are How to Run Your New Business and the 12-Month Startup Playbook, which both concentrate on routines that you can adopt and habits that you can adopt to combat these barriers, to motivate yourself, to avoid the distractions that the industry will throw at you, and to keep going over the longer term, to deal with disappointment. I've put everything I am into these videos, and I truly believe that they are a snapshot of how I managed to make it from the realization that I needed to change to where I am today and where I'm going to be in 18 months. I've got some templates that might help some people with some of the process to go through. It really depends where you are in your own business development here. Some of these profit map templates are quite simple: how to set up and publish a website, how to establish a personal brand online. These are all things that I've done, and I've taken a step back and thought, okay, how did I do that step by step? How did I do that? What questions did I have? Where did I go for answers? And I've put these together in a template that may or may not be appropriate for you. What I'm saying in terms of Profit Map Academy is that actually it needs to be your solution to your problems in your situation. I can't tell you what to do next. Some of you might want to start an affiliate marketing business using video marketing because you're great with video, because you've got all the equipment, because you love it. Other people have been thinking, I am not doing that. I want to sell physical products, XYZ, you know? Each one of us has different aspirations. Each one of us has different skills, and each one of us is coming at this from a different direction. And the Profit Map templates may help some of you to organize some of the things that you're thinking of doing, to be able to provide some of those lists of what to do and what to do later. The reason I wanted to show you this one, though, is because it's key that you control your finances. And this was a big barrier for me, and it probably still is, actually, in terms of being able to make the jump, which I've not yet made, to full-time working on my business from home. That will be 18 months, and I'm determined it will be. I've had to be very analytical in terms of my own personal finances, and I've put together a personal finance calculator spreadsheet that you'll need Excel or OpenOffice to be able to work with, that takes all your income and takes all your outgoings during the year and shows you exactly where your money's going and shows you what you're spending. And it allows you to be able to think, well, if we signed up with another internet provider and we saved $10 here or £10 there or 10 Australian dollars here, how much would we save? How would that impact the whole year? I've also got the business profit calculator that I've sent to you, actually, if you've bought Profit Map Academy. That is a spreadsheet that I use every month to be able to track what I'm spending and track what I'm earning. And it simply tracks a profit. It's really useful to be able to see that, because on a day-to-day basis, when you're seeing some of the distractions you get, maybe you get an email about a wonderful new system and you're thinking, oh, but it's only $17, it's only $27, it's only $47 or whatever it is. I look at that spreadsheet and all of a sudden I think, whoa, hang on a minute, you've already spent $300 this month and we haven't implemented that, we haven't implemented that. Hold it for a minute, you don't need to spend this money. If you join up those spending decisions like a business would, you'll be able to make an informed decision about whether you can afford it, whether it's sensible, and whether or not the false scarcity that is sent to you in some product or another is something that you want to respond to or not. And it's quite a powerful thing. And it's honestly, it's the difference between a hobby that will cost you a whole lot and a business that will pay for your mortgage in the future. So it's Profit Map Academy Pro. I've got a link that I can show you if you are interested in investing that. And I'm not saying that this is necessary for everyone. It would have helped me, and I've put it together for people who are in my position. I wouldn't invest in it until you've looked at the Profit Map Academy process and had a look at it. Because honestly, if you look at that and don't think it's appropriate, then some of the stuff in the Profit Map Academy Pro Pack probably won't be as appropriate for you. However, honestly, implementation is one of the most difficult things, and having an idea, having an aspiration, having a New Year's resolution is actually the easier bit. It might not seem like it, but it's actually the easier bit. How you implement that plan can be a right royal pain in the backside. And if you are interested in doing that, I'm using a new webinar system, so I'll pop something up on your screen. If you are interested in doing that, you can upgrade there. You don't have to do that. If you're inside the Profit Map Academy members area and you click on one of the videos, it'll pop up with upgrade anyway. But I wanted to point that out as a solution, because honestly, you won't be able to get very far without implementing things on a day-to-day basis, and it's a lot more difficult than you think to be able to do that. Time hack 5 is something that I've started in the last week, and I'm actually already rather proud of. Time hack 5 is to learn from others. I've got so much from the help and support I've received from the network of people I've met on Facebook, particularly in the last 12 to 24 months. They help me find quick answers to questions without having to do complex Google searches. They allow me to canvass the opinion of people who have been where I want to go and who are where I want to be. And honestly, I can't tell you how valuable this has been to me. I've created a group that I'd like to invite you and anyone you know who is in a similar situation to join. And I'm going to put exclusive content in there. I'm going to negotiate discounts on things for you and put them in there. But I think the most valuable thing I can do is leverage some of the contacts that I've made over the last 24 months. And I've been around several people who are really rather more important than I am, and I know a whole lot more than I am, and were absolutely wonderful when I was about 24 months ago, when I was starting this journey that I've just described. I've asked them to keep contacting the group, and I've asked them if they don't mind if I tag them in the questions that people are answering, so that I can connect you with some of the knowledge and some of the experience that I've I've gained from some of these people who were wonderful. I don't want to take them away from their businesses. One of these guys, John Motel, is launching something called Ecom Subscription Pro in about 5 days. He's actually head of a £90 million business now. His business has earned £90 million, and he's honestly he's been so sweet and so supportive, and he's offered me advice that I really couldn't get anywhere else. The other thing that I'm going to be doing for Marketing Medication Facebook group members is recording some interviews with some people who have made it. And in fact, on Saturday, I'm interviewing Sam Backer, who you may know, you may not. If you don't, he must be a millionaire by now. The amount of leaderboards he tops with affiliate promotions, particularly for software, is incredible. And actually, he does an awful lot of work with some larger software companies, helping them bring their products to market as well. He's not just an affiliate who sells things. He's been happy enough. I fell off my chair, but he was pleased enough with the work that we've done together so far. To grant me a 45-minute interview, and I'm going to film the lot. I've got interviews with Amin Motin, one of the people I've learned quite a lot of my video and webinar skills from. He recorded something that I think is honestly so special. I'm going to put it in this group anyway, and I've got a real belief that over time this can help people in a way that the internet and perspiration and working hard but not really getting anywhere can't. I'm wanted to offer the chance to leverage the power of a community of people that I've networked with and connect my customers and the people I'm connected with to these people, so that you don't need to go through the process of doing so yourself. So if you are interested in doing that, you're very welcome. I will be able to invite you into Marketing Medication. I'm going to do a whole lot of other things in the next few weeks. If my lovely webinar software is working, you might see a link to click here to request membership. This is just going to take you to the Marketing Medication Facebook group page, and you can click to request membership, and I'll be able to sort that out for you. But it's a project that I really believe in, and it's giving something back. It's also a massive opportunity for me to continue to learn from some of the people I've been connected with in the past. So I'm going to get as much out of this as anyone else. So I wanted to mention that as the last time hack. Time hack number 5: learn from others, leverage the power of a community to help you. The amount of hours I've spent on Google searching for this, that, or the other, it actually wastes a whole lot of time. The journey you go through to be able to learn something complex and technical can be a pain in the backside, because you start by searching for something. You find that you don't know as much as you thought you did, and you've now got 3 problems to solve. Actually, the ability to be able to go somewhere and ask a question directly in a forum that may get answered by someone with that answer, to be able to point you in the right direction because you've tried and failed to find that answer yourself, is gold. And I've got so much from doing this, and I'd like to help you succeed with my contacts. So if you want to do that, that's fantastic. And thank you, Mary. Yes, I'm aware that you invested in the Pro Pack, and I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, and thank you, Warren. I hope that's useful to you. At the beginning of the webinar, I promised you, and I've been laughing and rolling my eyes really, that in a webinar that is focused on time hacks, I had to postpone for a week. That doesn't really put me in the best position to be able to deliver this kind of knowledge. And I'm aware of that, but sometimes the family has to come first. And on a particular day last week, we had all sorts of things happening at the same time. And I thought, rather than do things quickly that I haven't got time to do properly, I would delay this a week. And I hope that's not been too difficult for people. Because of this, I wanted to offer you a reason to stick around and a reason to wait. And I've got 2 pieces of software. The first one is called Vidneos. It's not a new piece of software, but it remains one of the most effective ways to understand how to rank video on the first page of YouTube and Google. There are lots of bits of training that have come out to do this. However, this is software that does it, and it delivers the knowledge and delivers some of the ways of doing this as well. One of the keys to ranking anything in YouTube and Google is to be able to identify keywords that people would type into a search box that you would be able to rank for. Because if I try to rank for something like insurance, there's no way that I'm going to be able to outrank a load of companies that have paid to be at the top and who have God knows how many links linking to their stuff. However, for a lot of the time, ranking these kind of things and creating a video doesn't need to be you in front of people. It could be you presenting something on camera. It could be you sharing your screen as I'm doing today. This bit of software has been really useful to me in the last 12 months. So I negotiated and managed to get you all a user name for this. And if you want me to, I can send out a link which you can use to be able to create your username and password. The other one is a bit different because I'm aware not a lot of people, not everyone is into video. It's something that I've gained confidence with in the last six months or so as I've been creating sales videos for the products I've made. The learning journey for me has been an interesting one, and I continue to learn every day. The other piece of software called Social Post Manager, and again, it's not a new piece of software. However, it is still extremely effective. This is an online service that you log into that can help you find and post interesting things to your social networks. So if you're using social networks for business like I do, and on my business account, I use this bit of software and a couple of others actually to be able to cut down the time it takes to be able to find and schedule interesting content. Because if you want to try and build your social network in terms of customers, it's really quite important for you to be able to be posting on a regular basis. Now, this is a time sink, like so many things are. And as soon as you go onto Facebook, you might play something, you might respond to a message, you might do anything. I sit down once every 2 weeks and schedule 2 posts a day of content that I let this and other bits of software find for me, so that I don't need to think about that on a daily basis, and so that I've got something interesting trickling out, so that if people are following me, they realize that I post interesting things on a regular basis. And rather than search Google and try and find these things yourself, Social Post Manager has a keyword search inside of it that allows you to be able to do this searching inside the app, and to be able to post this on a day of your choosing. And it's got a diary screen that you can use to do that. These 2 pieces of software are probably the two I spent about 2 hours this morning looking at the different things that I could give you. And I thought, okay, well, let's do video, because I'd like to encourage everyone to have a go at video. The reason why I like it so much is because not many people do it, and still not many people do it well. If you're wanting to create a personal relationship, a strong relationship with your customers, using video is a wonderful way to do it. So if you are interested in that, I'd love to be able to know in the chat box. If you want me to send you these things, that's fantastic. I don't want to fill up your inbox with any more than I've been sending you already. And honestly, I hope you don't mind the fact that I'm sending you things on a regular basis. I try not to send rubbish. I try not to send junk. I'm a believer in trying to help people with what I send. Some of those will be products, and I've got a great product at the end of February. One of my friends is releasing something. I can't wait to tell people about that. But a lot of the time, the things I'm sending people are useful and don't make me money, because, like I've mentioned in one of my emails, I think, based on the stuff that I receive, and look, I'm on the same email list that you're on, at least the ones I haven't unsubscribed from so far. I look at some of the things people send, and it's like you've got 4 messages from someone about the same subject, as if they didn't expect you to read the first one. The other 3 say exactly the same thing, and I don't really think they're adding any value to me by sending these things. Occasionally what they send me is useful, and that's brilliant. Sometimes it's really easier to unsubscribe from things, and for me, I would prefer to be sending things that are honestly useful. So look, I hope that I can continue to do that. I've not really got anything else to show you. I'm very happy that the people in the chat box who have said they want the software, and in fact, I'll send that out to everyone who's on the list that signed up for this today. And I hope this has been useful. I did wonder about the title of this webinar, and I wanted to attract people here. I hope I've demonstrated, at least in a small way, that actually little hacks and shortcuts aren't the solution to your time problem. and that coming up with a long-term goal and a long-term plan is actually a much more powerful way to deal with this issue. And it does mean that you need to perhaps stop and take a step back and look at where you are and where you want to go. And that's why I created Profit Map Academy, and that's why I think it's such a powerful solution, because I think it does something that the successful businesses do, but they don't talk about, and they certainly don't sell people. And look, thank you very much for some of the lovely comments that people are sending. That's wonderful. It gives me a reason to carry on, and I'll certainly do that. I said I wasn't going to mention this, but I'm so excited about it. I've recently signed up to Periscope, and I know that I'm not the first person to do that. And I know that lots of people are going live and doing some live streaming using that. But this webinar has taken me a week to put together, and a Periscope wouldn't. So I'm hoping to be able to do Periscopes a more frequent rate based on some of the things that are being dropped into the Facebook group. So if people have got problems that I think I can solve, or I think someone else can solve, I'll try and go live online to be able to show you some of these things, as well as do more webinars like this. So by all means, join the Facebook group. I'd absolutely love to welcome you into it. It's at the early stage of development. I'm certainly going to be committing my time to it over the next 6 months. And I've got a lot of buy-in from some really rather important people to help us along too, and they'll be helping me too. So look, thank you very much. I've absolutely loved doing this. It's scary as hell to set up with a dodgy internet connection and sit online in my spare room when my daughter's downstairs screaming, when anything could go wrong. But I've loved it, actually. I've loved the webinars I've done, and thank you very much for joining me today. I absolutely appreciate every second you've spent with me.